Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, my group would like to present our group assignment. The title is Freedom of Religion in Malaysia from Group K81 for the subject ADA 3153 AL-FIRAQ AL-ISLAMIY. Okay, for the introduction, what is freedom of religion? Freedom of religion or belief is an offensive right that includes the freedoms of thought, conscience, expression, association, and assembly. In West, freedom of religion has always been recognized by liberal regimes as a fundamental right, a right intended to enable believers to carry out their religious practices without interference. Or we can say in nowadays we understood as freedom from religion, and it is personal responsibility or from their own self-direction. While in Islam, religious freedom does exist, but with different understanding with liberal regimes, which is it is legal for people who were born into a religion other than Islam to practice their religion, but it is illegal for someone who were born into Islam to apostate to another religion, and non-Muslim cannot proselytize it. In short, freedom of religion known as freedom as a conscience, while religion as a culture or just as a public good. While in Islam, it is the freedom to non-Muslims and Muslims to practice their religion openly and not in the concept of freedom of religion.
So for the chapter 1, Religions in Malaysia, there's two sections. First is Introduction to Malaysia, and the second one is Categories of Religions in Malaysia. As we already knew that Malaysia consists of 14 states, which are Pahang, Perak, Terengganu, Perlis, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Johor, Kelantan, Kedah, Pulau Pinang, Melaka, Sabah, Sarawak, and Wilayah Persekutuan. The community of Malaysia are multiracial and multi-religion, or we call as plural society. The main races are Malay, Chinese, and Indian. Before that, if we look up into the history how Malaysia was formed, in 1963, the formation of Malaysia, which combined Sabah, Sarawak, and Singapore, was recorded as one of the important history of Malaysia. The aim of formation to balance the population while improving economic progress. From the formation, there's 5 outcomes. First is Islam is the official religion of the Federation except Sabah and Sarawak. Second, Malay is the national language of the Federation, but English remained the official language of Sabah and Sarawak. The third one is the education system is under the federal government. Fourth, for the filling of the House of Representatives, 16 seats must be given to Sabah, 24 seats to Sarawak, and 15 seats to Singapore. And the last one is the immigration jurisdiction lies with the federal government, but this autonomy must be granted to Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, next is categories of religions in Malaysia, which are Hindu, Islam, Christianity, and Buddha. As mentioned before, Malay was the largest race in Malaysia who are mostly Muslim, and the second largest is Chinese, who are mostly Buddhist, Taoist, traditionalist adherent, and some are Christian, and Indian, who are mostly Hindu. Malaysia practiced 5 main rukun negara to form strong unity, while the essential key to racial harmony and unity for the success and stability of Malaysia. The role of first principle in rukun negara, which is belief in God, is people will feel led, have limitation while live in harmony. Each religion taught their adherents to spread kindness and avoid evil to others. In Christianity itself, they teach concept loving one another even towards different religion, while Buddhism believe that belittle other religion are contrary to their teaching. In Islam perspective, pluralism term is different with tolerance in other religion. Pluralism means that religion is a term that refers to understanding all religion in the sense truth exists in all religion and salvation can be achieved through any religion. As Muslim, we know that pluralism was totally prohibited, and we should know some aspects that could not be aligned with their creed, such in ontology, soteriology, and epistemology.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's move to chapter 2, Freedom of Religion in Malaysia, which is theory and issue. So, before I explain my part, let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Fakihah binti Salahuddin. My matrix number is 1191815. Okay, now I will explain about the definitions of freedom of religions. So what is definitions of freedom of religions? Okay, in general, freedom of religions is a word commonly used by political philosophers, politicians, lawyers, and also lay people. The terms of religion is derived from the Latin word religere, which means to tie or to bind fast. Many people favor this etymology because it explains that the power of religion has over people and the communities in which they live. As we know that religion are belief systems that usually deal with divine, holy, supernatural, our purpose as creature on earth in this life, and also religion include Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and others. Other than that, the terms of freedom is derived from Old English freedom, which means power of self-determination or state of free will. So, in dictionary.com, freedom of religion is the right to practice any or no religions without the government interfering. And freedom of religion also refers to an individual's freedoms to profess and believe whatever they want, whether religious or not. Last but not least, the concept of freedom of religion is different between Islamic countries and the West. It is because in Islamic law, freedom of religions does not create separation between law and religious principle, but in the West it does. So this will cause a society to be secular. So next we move to another part, which is the importance of freedom of religion in Malaysia. As we know that religious freedom is extremely important for us, it is due to the fact that it has the potential to provide numerous benefits to both the country and the communities. So why religious freedom is important in Malaysia? First and foremost, it is because it can provide individual and society with peace of mind. It is because a person is free to practice his religions or not, as well as to declare it or not. And this freedom also illustrates that others cannot be forced to convert to live a religion of their choice. As mentioned in Quran Surah Al-Baqarah verse 256, La ikraha fid din. This verse clearly states that there is no compulsion in religion. So it means that individual has the right and freedom to choose or to practice their own religious belief. In addition, religious freedom also secures people's right to live, speak and act in accordance with their belief in a peaceful and public manner. It also protects their ability to be themselves at work, in class and also social activities. As we know that religious freedom entails more than just the right to worship in a synagogue, church or mosque, and it ensures that they are not forced to compromise their core value and belief in order to conform to culture or government. Next, another importance of freedom of religion is it prevents the culture of majority from using the power of state to impose their belief on others, which is it protects everyone, religious and non-religious alike, from the government becoming so powerful that it can tell people how to act and what to think. Okay, the last one is it can lead up to harmonious society. As I mentioned before, the individual has the right to practice any or no religion without the government interfering. Any declaration or symbolism of religion also free, as long as it doesn't go beyond the legal boundaries of a country or place. Also, as Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Kafirun verse 6, lakum dinukum waliyadin. This verse means for you is your religion and for me is my religion. So it clearly shows that each believer who practice their belief of his teaching must not interfere their belief, their ways of life on other religions. Okay, so there's a lot of importance of religious freedom. Overall, religious freedom is a unique privilege that should unite all people and promote respect, tolerance, and peace.
Even there are many importance of freedom of religion that have been exposed to our society, but there is still some issues that still happening in our society. Firstly, there is a group of individuals in Malaysia who do not comprehend the faiths, which results in a lack of knowledge of freedom of religion. Thus, by failing to comprehend the presence of faiths in Malaysia, one might cast doubt on the legitimacy of a specific legislation or constitution. In the Malaysian context, the topic of a religion's rights and sensitivities cannot be divorced from the discussion of the enacted legislation and constitution. Consequently, claims will have an indirect effect on the creation of legislation, further complicating the process of establishing a peaceful society in Malaysia. This situation is manifested by the existence of conflicts arising from a religion's rights and sensitivities, most notably from various claims made from time to time, most notably from non-Muslims who are frequently dissatisfied with Islam's and Muslims' privilege in all matters, involving argument about the right to religion, the right to worship, family rights and social rights. For example, if a husband converts to Islam but his wife does not change her religion or even files for divorce in civil court, the husband who embraces Islam will be liable to pay alimony to his wife, since it is a civil court order. In this scenario, the civil court acts as an appeals court for matter resolved by the Sharia court. As a result, the husband has become the battered spouse. The second issue is Muslims and non-Muslims alike are perplexed by the meaning of freedom, which has sparked arguments on religious concerns. For instance, greetings and well wishes to believers of other religions in certain celebrations have demanded clarifications on religious tolerance. According to the One Malaysia principle, every faith is honoured as a sign of respect for all Malaysians. However, the Malaysian community's lack of awareness of the concept's limits ultimately results in many conflicts, such as the charge of apostasy and polytheism among Muslims. For instance, the issue of the Malaysian Prime Minister wearing kurta during Diwali celebrations was first seen as an affront, even though many Muslim residents in India wear similar garments. On the other side, there are certain individuals who celebrate a holiday that breaches a religion's fundamental principles, such as what occurred in Christmas Day. It is ultimately forbidden for Muslims for a variety of reasons, including the celebration's history, which resolves to be theological in character. The third issue is some individuals have a comprehension of religion, yet this understanding is created in several levels of the individual's perspective. This results in an appreciation for the degree to which freedom of religion exists. This was shown via the establishment of subjectively defined freedom of religion. Most respondents assert that freedom of religion can only be shown via the program and all social activities such as visiting the ill,
paying Hari Raya visits, and making disaster relief contributions. However, if it relates to religious rights within organizations or to the right to a place of worship, such as collaboratively cleaning houses of worship, most church, temples, and so on, it cannot be reconciled with other religions because it focuses exclusively on the respective religion without interfering with other beliefs.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Saira Zaliarah bin Pizari. My metric number 1191809. Alright, next, the freedom of religion in Malaysia, law and practice. The law or constitution regarding freedom of religion. The freedom of religion in Malaysia is governed by the Malaysia constitutions. It is a principle that allows oneself or society to profess and practice their religion freely. This freedom is one of humanity's fundamental rights. As we know that Malaysia has bound with religion since the arrival of Islam in Malay Federation. Therefore, it is not surprising that Islam is made as the official religion in Malaysia. But it must be remembered that Malaysia is not Islamic state, as what Tunku Abdul Rahman had said. Islam as the official religion is different from the concept of Malaysia Islamic state. Based on law of Malaysia Federation Constitution under Article 3, Islam is the federation's religion. However, other religions may be followed and performed in harmony and peace as part of human rights along with the country's constitution. However, compared to other religions, Islam was shown to have its own uniqueness and protection. This shows that other religions are freely to be practiced in Malaysia but under control of the law. One of the conditions is that other religions are also allowed to spread the religious belief among the adherents, but they are forbidden to spread it toward Muslims or invite Muslims to follow their practice. This was proved in Article 11, number 4, as mentioned in the slide. Furthermore, this provision indirectly authorized the states of federal government to enact legislation to control and protect Islam. However, Malaysian law does not prohibit other followers to perform their ritual, as every religious group has a right in religion. This religious freedom matter is provided for in Article 11 of the Federal Constitution. First of all, the religious group need to manage its own religious affair. After that, they need to establish and maintain institution for religious or charitable purpose. And finally, they must remember that they need to acquire and own property and hold and administer in accordance with law. Last but not least, the freedom of religion in Malaysia actually interconnect and play a role in illuminating the rights of freedom of religions, which is not just focused on Article 11, but it also relates to Article 3 as mentioned previously, Article 8 which is about equality, and Article 12 about right in respect of education. Therefore, the concept of freedom must be carefully understood so that it is not misinterpreted and disputed by any community group. In conclusion, from the laws of Malaysia, the Federal Constitution shows that Malaysia allows the freedom of religion by following and practicing it in harmony. They that have multiracial that practice and have various beliefs such as Islam, Hindu, Buddha, Christian, and more. These religions have their own belief and ritual that are different from each other. Religion is important as it is a guide of life in society. So, there were many ways that Malaysia practiced freedom of religion. As we know, this difference must be taken seriously so that national security can be maintained and terrible prejudice can be avoided, such as a case of insulting religion. So, it is important to practice tolerance. Tolerance is one of the key to the nation's progress and prosperity. The value of tolerance that are defined as passion and tolerance have a mutual understanding that can respect the opinion and belief of others, and also fairness to others and accepting their rights in difference of religious and political belief. However, religious tolerance does not mean that all religions are the same, as been supported by religious pluralism, which claim that no religion has a source of exclusivity. In short, we need to respect each other, but not by joining their ritual because it can harm our creed and is contrary to Sharia. Besides that, the other way that Malaysia practices freedom of religion is by fairness and equality. which is related to human rights. Human rights are inseparable rights and freedoms that are deserving of every human being. Furthermore, in Article 8, Number 1 had mentioned that all persons are equal before the law and entitled to the equal protection of the law. It shows that all mankind deserve to have the right, especially about safety. Finally, the common thing that has been practiced in different religions in Malaysia is cooperation. This cooperation must be done in good things because there was no cooperation in bad things, as what had highlighted in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 2, which means, and cooperate in righteous and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression, and fear Allah, indeed Allah is severe in penalty. Malays are also known as a society that love to help each other without looking at race, color, status, or religion. For example, there were also reports by Malaysia Now that said non-Muslims also help flood victims by volunteering at the mosque. Indirectly, the cooperation is also one of the ways Malaysia practices freedom of religion. In overall, unity is very important in a country for the survival of prosperity and security. Unity in the Malaysian context is unique as it creates difference in religions, race, and culture but still can live in peace and harmony. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, we continue to chapter 4, analysis the concept of freedom of religion in Islam. In Islam, freedom is a gift of Allah for mankind, and mankind needs to make full use of this divine without harming and being harmed by others, and not try to misinterpret the freedom that given by Allah. Even the Holy Prophet ﷺ never denied any human being regarding his right to freedom of expression, even with the freedom of religion. So both the believers of Islam and non-believers or non-Muslims could freely speak their minds in front of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So freedom of religion is of course a fundamental human right accepted by Islam in the history of mankind. The freedom of religion does apply towards human being, which is the right to profess and practice their religion, their right to worship, and etc. As we can see in Surah Al-Kafirun, verse 6, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Lakum dinukum waliyadin, which means, to you be your way and to me mine. However, this type of freedom does not apply to Muslim, as this is opposed the religion's teaching itself, which is free from religion of Islam, or we can call as apostasy. In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 217, Allah condemns those who do apostasy. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَمَنْ يَرْتَدِّدْ مِنْكُمْ عَنْ دِينِهِ فَيَمُتْ وَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. In Islam, even though there is no compulsion to profess Islam, as in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 256, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, La ikraha fid din, which means no coercion in Islam, no compulsion in Islam. But once one has professed it, he could not apostate, as it is crime under Islamic law. In conclusion, from the general view, freedom of religion is the right of man to choose any religion, which is the freedom or the right to have faith, the right to expressing their religions, to expressing their religious beliefs, the freedom to practice their rituals, to teaching their children, and abandoning the previous religion, and etc. As long as his religious acts does not deprive the right or the freedom of others, or does not breach the public peace or order. But in Islam clearly insists upon freedom of belief for all human beings, unless to Muslim, because after one becomes a Muslim, he does not have the liberty to leave Islam. Like I said in the beginning of the video, in the introduction, which is freedom of religion is not same with the freedom from religion.